Welcome to another episode of Healthcare Connections podcast, powered by Healthcare Compliance Pros. I am your host, Jeremy Winn. Our purpose for this podcast is to introduce you to key topics and experts in the healthcare industry to ensure you have what you need to successfully manage your practice. Please subscribe and follow us on our social media channels to make sure you don't miss any new episodes. If you have recommendations for guests or topics for this podcast, email me at jwin@hcp.md. With that, enjoy this episode of the Healthcare Connections podcast. Welcome to this episode of the Healthcare Connections podcast. We've got another great guest for you today. I'm excited to introduce you to Carl White, somebody that I was recently introduced to at a conference down in what is normally warm, sunny Florida. But the week we were there, Carl, it was overcast and a little bit cold.
The locals were not happy.
Yeah, absolutely. But Carl's the founder of MarketVisory Group, and I'm excited to talk marketing with him today. So welcome, Carl.
Thanks very much for having me, Jeremy. Good seeing you again.
Yeah, good to see you. So give us a little bit more introduction, your background, how you found this great company, and what you all do.
Yeah. So MarketVisory Group, we are a healthcare marketing agency. Our niche is private practice owners. So whether you're medical, dental, whatever it is, if you own the practice, you want to stay that way, and you're struggling to grow, that's where we can help. So very much local marketing and online. Most of it's online. So websites, SEO, reputation and reviews, some social, some email. We work with clients over the long haul. Marketing needs to be done consistently over time. That's what we do. We're HIPAA compliant. We're going to be talking a bit more about that today.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, and I've been doing marketing in healthcare forever. My family, my father was a pharmacist, owned an independent pharmacy, and I worked in when you could still find those when I was growing up. I've worked in large corporate America, small business, MarketVisory Group for the past 8 years. Always marketing in healthcare. It's in my blood. I love it. And yeah, one job that was not in it. Other than that, decades of it.
Okay. Well, thank you for that introduction. So you mentioned we're going to talk about HIPAA a little bit.
Everyone's favorite topic, right?
They love this topic. So this is where compliance and marketing come together. And we get so many questions from our clients around marketing. We'll dive into some of those specific things that we get asked about. But let's maybe start with this. What this term HIPAA compliant marketing, what does it even mean? Could you define that for our audience today?
It means being HIPAA compliant with your marketing, just like you are with anything else. So you have to protect PHI. You can only share it with certain people in certain ways. You have to have a business associate agreement with anybody you're going to share that data with, just like you do anybody else. None of our clients, of course, they all know HIPAA. Nobody argues with it. It's just that it's a blind spot when it comes to thinking that marketing and HIPAA overlap, and they can and they do. And we'll shed some light on a couple of those examples today, but they can and they do. And so if you're using an agency or you're sharing your protected health information with anybody that you're not doing it in a HIPAA compliant way, so no business associate agreement, they haven't checked the right boxes on their side,
right?
Well, you're taking a risk. You just
Absolutely.
are. And so that's what it means. Just as you are HIPAA compliant with any other entity that you share data with, same with marketing.
Yeah, so it's a great question to ask, right? If you're looking to bring some marketing help on from the outside, make sure you don't forget to ask them, tell me about how you comply with HIPAA and what are your safeguards? What are you doing, to make sure. Okay. That's good. It is a one that, again, you don't think about until I think an organization looks to maybe grow and they start doing stuff. And I think one day a light bulb goes off. I know that happens for our clients and they're like, wait a minute, I need to think through this. So thank you. I appreciate you defining that.
I love this. I heard this about a month ago. Somebody said, well, no, but we're HIPAA insured. So what do you mean by that? Well, we've got, I think it was like, we have enough insurance or we meet the insurance guidelines. And I'm like, that's good. But you know what? The auditors aren't going to care about that. That's not one of the boxes you've got to check. You're supposed to have that anyway. Yeah. So that doesn't count.
HIPAA insurance. Yes. I like it.
I'm HIPAA insured. I have enough insurance.
I love it.
Okay. Yeah.
So common areas, I guess. Where does marketing and HIPAA come together? What are the most common?
I'll give you two, and we'll start with one that you and I hear a lot, which is social media.
Oh yeah.
There could be a lot of overlap with social media. And just think about one of the more common ways where you can trip up is just step back from social media for a second. You can't tell other people that there's a doctor-patient relationship with any your patients can, but you cannot. So simple example, you put a post on social, on your Instagram page, and somebody, one of your patients makes a comment and how much they love it, and you reply because you were told to do that because it's good practice, and it is. And in the so doing, you say something that discloses to the world that's a patient of yours. Ding, ding, ding. You
Ding, ding,
just
ding. Yep.
crossed into what I call HIPAA land, and you just did. If you reply to a review and you say, "We're so glad you're a patient of ours," you can't do that. I will tell you that I've asked a number of healthcare attorneys, can you reply to reviews at all or not, or comments or not? The really conservative ones say, nope, don't do it. That already
Right.
crosses a line. The less conservative ones say what you and I think, which is you can just be brief and you can't use words that would disclose that there's a relationship or anything else for that matter. So glad you're feeling better. You just can't say these things.
Yep.
So that's a really easy one. There's more ways to trip HIPAA when it comes to social media, particularly when you get to like sending ads or you can really, you just can't in any way, shape, or form disclose in any way that there's that relationship. And that's like the 101. Don't do that. There's more advanced ways, but just don't. So same with reviews. Somebody gives you a great review on Google or Yelp or wherever.
Right.
If you choose to reply, just yeah, you just can't trip that. Another one is now go to your website. Just about every website's got a contact page. Contact us. Here's our hours, and there's a form. How to
Right.
contact us. Give us your name, your email, and whatever. And then there's like a box that says, "Tell us what's on your mind." But even if there's not that box, if somebody gives you their name and their phone number or their name and their email, you now have tiny little crumbs of protected health information. Unless that form is set up in a way that's HIPAA compliant, which means it's got enough security. Only the right people can see it. Our agency, we can log into all of our clients' websites because we need to do stuff. We can also see those
Right.
forms, which means anybody who can log in can see them. Are they being transmitted properly? And then in that open field box, sometimes people tell you a lot about how they're feeling, what's going on. And now it's like, you're like in the capital of HIPAA land because they're telling you all sorts of,
Right.
and again,
Exactly.
anybody can see that. So you just got to make sure that anybody who can see it is authorized to. By the way, I've seen this. Some people put beneath that box in really fine print on their website, don't put anything personal in here. That's not the
Yeah.
wording.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't put any
I'm batting
PHI.
like, yeah, I'm
Don't
batting
put
a
any.
thousand on the number of healthcare attorneys who said, yeah, that doesn't cut it.
Yeah.
Yet this doesn't cut it. So, you know, just you got a very simple example, right? But a very prevalent example. You just have to guard this data just like you guard their medical records because, the HIPAA, I'm not sure about this. HIPAA may care depending on how much PHI was exposed, if it was, but you're exposing some, right? So you just have to do it carefully, compliant with HIPAA.
I love that. Um, so your advice is, no TikTok videos in patients' rooms. Not,
Yeah, and then there's right. So I mean, if you are, I was working with a client where they wanted to do some videos like about us. Each of the doctors was doing
yes.
one.
Yep. Which
It's
is
like
again
just
a
a
great
great thing.
marketing idea.
Scrape that room of anything like the folder behind you that's got some patient's name that's teensy, that counts.
The
You have
whiteboard
to,
with patients' names
yes,
on it, and
sanitize the room. If you really feel like you need an actual room or somebody's office, you must sanitize if anything around you or behind you that could be on camera, because if it's anybody's name, you've crossed the line. And are you really going to get audited? Is anything going to happen? It's probably rare. I don't really know, but it's going to be painful if it does. And you're going to wish that you took care of that in the first place. So just take
absolutely, yeah.
care of it
The
now.
worst thing is going viral and having PHI attached to your
Oh my
viral post.
God.
That
Yeah.
a nightmare for every
And
physician.
here's the thing, like, so people are saying, and because I've heard this before, it's like, well, is that really going to happen to me? Because all you read about it, and it may, but it's really, really painful. So all you read about are the fines, right? This practice got fined this or that, and the fines are painful. But what they don't talk about is the rest of it, how
That's exactly right.
disruptive that investigation is going to be. If you're lucky, you will not have to tell your entire patient base that their data was compromised. You usually do. Think about that. Think about anybody listening. Now I have to tell every patient in the practice that their data was compromised.
Yes.
Try coming back from that. I mean, you'll survive, but it's going to be so painful, and the trust is broken. And why would you want to, why would you want to even flirt with something like that?
Absolutely. And in addition to the trust, as we've helped guide people that unfortunately have had audits, had to pay some fines, and then they come to us and
Hmm.
engage with us. And so we'll engage with them and help them through corrective actions. And to your
Yeah.
point, they learn after, 2, 3 years, sometimes 5 years of corrective actions, depending on the severity of things, that man, that fine was nothing compared to everything we had to do to show how we're doing it better going forward.
Yeah.
It was way more painful, a lot more human capital.
Yeah.
And so you're exactly right. Like,
Yeah.
it's the all the headlines show the fines, right? That's
Yes.
that's what leads, but man, it's
Tip of the
it's that work
iceberg.
afterwards that is
Yeah.
just really difficult.
Yeah.
Great, I
All
appreciate that.
avoidable. Yeah.
Yeah. So you offer to people a free HIPAA digital marketing assessment. I think
Yeah.
that's what you call it. I think I
Yeah.
got the name of
It's
it
kind of a
right.
mouthful, I know, but it's a lot to get out. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
on our website. I think the link's going to be, you guys are going to make that available. It's like a
Yes.
dozen questions, and it's meant to open eyes. We are not healthcare attorneys. It's just meant to try to raise awareness on the 5 or 6 most common areas that in our work we see HIPAA and marketing overlap. So social media, reviews, websites, some of the stuff we covered, some paid advertising. The questions
Yeah.
are kind of repetitive because it's always the same thing, but nevertheless, and the answers are always yes, no, or I don't know. And just you'll see at the end, it says, if you're saying no or I don't know, we just recommend you turn those into yeses or no. It's just, so that you can know what you're dealing with. Because just like we said, if the auditors show up one day, holy cow, like
Absolutely.
just holy cow. And so, and you're supposed to be HIPAA compliant. It's just, again, it's just kind of a blind spot. What I said when we started, um, nobody argues it when I bring it up, but they just didn't think about it on their own. So this is just trying to meant to kind of, again, just raise awareness on those common areas so you can just be more educated and take care of this while there's no problems.
Absolutely. And then give us your website, Carl, so they know where to
Yeah.
find that.
MarketVisory Group. So market and then V as in Victor, ISORY group like group.com. MarketVisory Group, one
Great.
word.
So you can find that on there. We'll post a link to that assessment tool
Mm-hmm.
as well as we launch this. And then, for anybody that says, I really want to do better at marketing, and I,
Mm-hmm.
I want to go to somebody that knows what they're doing in the healthcare space beyond your website, how else can they get a hold of you?
So my email is white like the color C at marketvisorygroup.com. Um,
Great.
yeah, that's probably the easiest way. There's a contact form on the website. We have a podcast called Practice Care. It's one word.
Yes.
You can. I don't do much of the talking, but you can find us there as well, more interview style. Um, yeah,
Okay. Well, Carl, thank you so much. I appreciate your insights, and for our listeners, again, as you think about your marketing, it is well worth the time and energy spent to just make sure you're doing it right, so you can avoid those worst case scenarios and those embarrassing times when something unfortunately can get out,
yes,
and then you got to deal with it. So, yeah,
yes.
thank you, Carl. Appreciate you coming on with us today.
Thanks for having me, Jeremy. I appreciate it too.
Yep. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Healthcare Connections podcast. For more information on the topic we covered today, you can reach out to me or to our guest. For any additional information on healthcare compliance pros, feel free to email me at jwin@hcp.md. Don't forget to tune in next week. Thank you.